everyone. This is our Board of Education budget meeting. I'm Sharon Peters, Chairman of the Board, and Dr. O'Reilly's here, as well as the entire Board of Education. I just would like to remind board members when you're speaking to make sure that you're projecting into the microphones. There was some difficulty in hearing people on the recording of our last meeting, so if you could try to make a point to do that, I'd appreciate it. And without further ado, I will open the meeting to any public comments. Is there anyone that would like to address the board? When you come into the microphone, please introduce yourself, let us know where you live. Okay. And
my name is Jen Witchy. It's Witschy, and I live at 21 Cody Lane. And I actually just want to say thank you. I'm up here to commend you for the conversations that I heard last week. I feel like there was a lot of support for Dr. Riley's budget, and as a first grade teacher, I understand firsthand just how important funding our classrooms are. And I want to express my gratitude. So thank you. I am hopeful for tonight's vote, and I'll be passing word along as well to other people. So thank you.
wonderful, thank you for coming. Anyone else in the audience like to address the board?
Hi, my name is Liz Hibino, Hibino. I live at 19 Scenic Drive, and I also am here to say thank you. I wasn't able to attend. I did listen to some of the meeting on the YouTube channel from last week, and spoke with Laurel today as well, and heard about the budget, which sounds fantastic. I hope there is a yes vote tonight. And especially in regard to adding a first grade teacher, I think that is really necessary. My son is in kindergarten right now and has fluctuated between 19 and 20 kids in his class, and so I think we really need that teacher going forward for their grade level, as well as the Wheeler program for the younger students. I think that sounds fabulous and really needed. So thanks for all your hard work.
Thank you for coming. Any other comments from the public? Okay. Dr. O'Reilly, you're up. Questions and answers.
So we will entertain additional questions, but I just want to make sure that everybody has what we promised, and if we didn't, we need to come to account. The latest piece of paper that we shared with you was what Tim had asked for at the last meeting. That is the number of paraprofessionals. I think we gave you more detail than you asked for, but that's the internal document that we use and we add to subtract. So you can see it by school, and I know we have Jessica here. If there's any questions relative to Valley View and the use of paraprofessionals, she would be available to answer any questions. So that is one piece. We asked for information projected information from Don Davis. That had been provided. We were asked to answer a number of questions from a number of different board members, and those are prepared and was sent to you earlier, I think on Friday. Just want to make sure that you do have them. And the last piece that I wanted to, Dave, your email was a tag along yesterday, and I want to make sure we get to that. So, all right.
Are there any additional copies of the responses or the program information? Laura did not get it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I have it.
Oh, not as nice as.
Thank you.
Well, you could.
You don't have
No,
one?
you're good. You're good, because I have another one.
Thank you.
Yours has better color than mine. So school printers.
So, thoughts or discussions or additional questions based on those answers that we supplied to you?
I do have a question. When I first started attending board meetings before being a member, I remember some discussion about the health position at a high school. If you could please remind me as to how many full-time hours it is and what it is budgeted for next year.
It is currently 50%, and it is.
So it's a 0.5?
0.5 FTE, and it's a 0.5 FTE for, in this budget.
For what setting?
Health.
Health.
High school.
Yeah.
Is there any talk of going to full-time for the health profession?
There's always lots of talk, and yesterday, Mrs. Laverty and I had a discussion about it, and you know, that's a challenge that we make, that it falls down on my shoulders. The proposal came forward from the high school. I feel like I have to make a responsible decision on what goes and what doesn't, and you know, I think my question isn't the merit of a full-time health teacher at the high school. There is merit. I think we have some capacity to do that, and right now that will be my challenge for next year, rather than just adding a position. Because I think our PE staff is, you know, I think we're well-staffed in PE.
Okay. I'm wondering, what are the current graduation requirements? Because I'm not aware of what that is for health, if any, in the state.
So, Charles, do you want to? Yeah, I got to go back. I thought if I.
Put you right on the spot.
It is increased.
It's doubled.
Right. The specific number, I'd want to get back to. I don't want to give any bad information. I would come prepared to answer that question, but I can certainly get that.
Okay.
I know.
I don't know.
And the reason that I'm a little bit is it's changed, and it's changed for the current freshmen. So the current freshmen have a different health requirement
Than
than
the
the current
sophomores.
sophomores, juniors, and seniors. So I kind of have to look at it and project it out to tell you what that means in terms of staffing.
Okay.
And I just don't have those numbers yet.
I did this last year, just an overall comment on the numbers guide. You know, it seems like a big number, 947. But when you take the contractual salaries, the additional teachers, that's 500. Benefits is 140. That gets you 657. You got 300 left. You got additional transportation and tuition, that's 187. We only really have an increase of 104,000 that we can actually impact, quite honestly. So I mean, people don't realize it. They just see the big number and they don't realize that we really can't touch anything, because if we do, we're taking from something else. So I do think we can go through a lot of these details, and maybe we can get a few thousand here and a few thousand there, maybe make it look a little bit better. But I don't think there's any huge gotchas in there that are going to really move this needle. Just my opinion.
And Philip, in years past, you have conversations with Susan about where we are and get her input and whatnot.
Right,
I mean, I don't know how much you could share. Do you have a sense at this point, is that looking at this budget that we may or may not send forward, what that might the embrace it's going to receive?
So I won't comment on the embrace, but I will comment on the objective. Her comments that she obviously supports our programs, always has. Our first selectman, our entire select board are very supportive of public education. It is a tough climb, because it represents, it could represent a significant tax increase. I can't answer that question. That's what the board of selectmen have to do.
Oh, sure.
But, that's always her concern. Yeah. That's what drives her, is how the taxpayers are going to be able to afford this.
Right. Truly, you should.
And one thing I'll remind everybody that I heard from one of my Board of Selectmen meetings is that they ended last year with a $624,000 surplus in this town, which is not heavily advertised. So that means because she talked about whether they wanted to roll that over to the rainy day fund or they wanted to apply it to something else. That's their decision. But technically that $900,000 could go to $300,000 very quickly with no mill rate change, or not, no, very minimal mill rate change. So that's their decision, but that's something in their back pocket.
She reminded me that a mill is $800,000, which I think most of you know about that. She said something else. It just escaped me. I'll come back to it. Relative to what you just said.
Now, that doesn't mean next year there's going to be surplus too, so, you know.
She did mention the surplus.
Okay.
And that may be part of the discussion with the Board of Selectmen in going forward.
It helps.
You know, I continue to tell you how supportive Tom is, our finance director for the town. And he does work his magic after it leaves my hands, and he makes it, he tries to fund it to the best extent that he can, and that's what he presents to Susan. But he is supportive of our efforts.
Can I ask a question? Lauren's question about the AP, the funding for AP testing, triggered a question for me about whether there are other things that were cut last year that have not been restored to the budget. Is it just from my own awareness? I know that we were restoring the 5th grade teacher position.
I think, as we promised, we would
Everything.
at least initially put it in the budget.
Okay, everything other than the AP testing. Okay, thank you.
So that's the only thing that was not restored, so, am I hearing correctly?
Correct, yeah, because they want to just continue moving forward with that.
Okay.
I know for me, I was just looking at one of my questions, I don't even think I really asked it as a formal question, but I sent an email later. It was the percentage increases over the last 5 years. Just to get a perspective, I think it's important that we look at that and look at shared at 2.31 in 15-16, 0.93 in 16-17, 4.14, 17-18. We did our 0 in 18-19, and then 2.42 in this budget year, and that's unless I did my calculations wrong, that's like 9.8% over those 5 years, and it comes in at 1.96% per year on average. I can't think of one school, and I read the papers a lot. I can't think of one school system I've seen that went 5 years with a less than 2% average increase, and continue to do the programming that we're doing here.
And expanding.
And expanding, right, exactly, and doing expansion, and, the work you put into the State Board of Education case for the, minimum spending standards, and, I don't know, I just feel like, hey, any budget's got, you can, like Dave said, you can mail 18 less letters this year and save a few bucks, but, I don't know, 2.42, I'm sorry, 4.46, given where we are, it's a defensible budget, I think.
I had a couple questions for Dawn on the proposed therapeutic program. You provided us with some cost versus need information. So there were 5 students listed. I believe it's 5.
Yes, yeah.
Are those the students that would be intended to return to district if we were to implement this program?
They're either, one is a student that we would look to return to district, and the other 4 are students that we kind of have on the tarmac right now that could be, I described their current status, but their status right now is they're students here in district that we're precariously holding on to, and will require, most likely require more extensive programming.
Specialized program.
So, but that's only 5, and you estimated about 18?
Right. Remember, some of those students I spoke about last week were students that would not be fully in the program.
Right.
They would get, benefit from some of the therapeutic services. And those 5 were examples of kids that right now we needed some financial Other kids are going to benefit and require that higher level of care, but they're not really one foot out of district at this point, or in the case of the one student having to attend another district.
So the estimated tuition for the 5 that are listed is it's $484,000 plus the transportation cost of almost $150,000. Is that about what you'd estimate we'd save, or that we'd then, the cost for the program as proposed with a full-time special ed teacher, clinical support, and paraprofessionals comes to $354,000. So you feel fairly confident that we would recognize that savings?
Right, yeah, everything that's remaining stable where it is right now with those 5 students, we have to outplace them between now and next year. Those are the estimated costs, because it's basically I'm using the type of programming that we replace them into, and use the tuition and the transportation costs for those types of programs. And so that's our estimate for our high state, our high cost kids. And then we have many more that are, like the benefit as well. And then, yes, the estimated costs are the ones that we're looking at, the teacher, the clinical support, and paraprofessionals.
So the paraprofessionals listed, the $168,675. It says LEA budget fiscal year 2021. They're already in the budget that you've provided us.
They're
Okay.
paraprofessionals that would be reallocated, because they're already working with a lot of these students, and they would just follow the students in the program. So we're not proposing any new paraprofessionals at this time. I don't say that very often.
And I don't believe that often.
We're not saying that these paraprofessionals that are supporting the kids with the behavioral needs right now would be reallocated, or somebody in that position would be reallocated into the program, either on a full-time basis or on a partial in that program and partial supporting the students in their mainstream classes.
As far as the clinical support, including 1 FTE clinician and supervision, and then you said anticipated $110,000. So that's for 1 additional full-time position?
Yeah, that's the big add-on. That's either using regular clinic again, like we did for the secondary program, or we're also, Allison and I are meeting with some other providers of this type of programming to see what our best option is.
Okay.
So that's a good estimate of what the clinician and the oversight would cover.
Can I just comment on that question?
Yeah.
So those are, again, those are estimated costs, and that's where you could have some flexibility based on teacher salaries and where they're placed on the salary schedule. So she's used some higher numbers there, and we don't know how the clinician would be funded, because we don't necessarily know exactly who that clinician would be and what title he or she would have, or what training he or she would have just at this point. So I think she's given herself some wiggle room there.
And we're doing some good research. We're visiting different models, and we're talking with different programs that are up and running that are successful. In addition to, like I said, somebody that do a clinical work.
So in the notes, you estimate $109,000 to extend the Wheeler Clinic contract to include the lower grades?
Right, it would
Okay.
basically double what we would be spending, what we would be paying to Wheeler. That was the route that we went.
Okay. And the estimated cost for the 1 FTE special ed teacher salary and benefits is just a reallocation, is that right?
Correct. We have, there's room to move someone into that. Okay.
So it wouldn't be a new hire, it would be someone moving from a different position.
And the other part of that too is just, I want to stress, is all the related services that are available to students in the district, use of a BCA, occupational therapy services, speech services, are still going to come out of, that's going to be our regular operating budget. All of those services are going to be available to the children in the program. So looks like we would have to hire separate for any of those services.
Does anybody else have any questions on the therapeutic day program information?
No, just thank you for the document. It really, I mean, it's very helpful. It really clarifies things for me.
You're welcome. And then I just want to remind people, we could have, Jessica and I were just listening to 2 families moving into town just this week that are going to impact programming, not necessarily for this program, but we don't know, like I talked about last week, I spoke about our 7 kindergarten students. But this is it's just an opportunity to give us visual of what creating this program can do.
Chris, do you have a question?
Sure. A couple things, and I'm sorry, I may not remember a lot of things from the last one, but can you just clarify again how the bus contract might impact, which line item that is, and how it might impact this budget? I forget the timeline and the connection there.
So the bus falls under page 4, 51010. That's the high level that includes the special ed and the regular ed busing.
Gotcha.
If you go to district-wide, that will show,
What page?
Thanks.
trying to find, other services, so page 21,
Yeah.
that shows the actual bus contract, so that includes the M&J contract with their increase, I believe.
What did we say, 2.8?
2.8.
I think that's what I told you last week, 2.8.
I added in for the homeless students, because currently we have 3 students, so I had to increase that line item, about $45,000 because of that, just because we don't know.
Right.
And that's the insurance, the bond, and all that. So that page 21 is that piece alone.
And you're talking the transportation.
Correct. And I mean, if you go to student services, the special education, that will show Dawn's piece of it, and then those all line up to the high level one on the front.
Okay. And thank you. I couldn't remember where everything was. Administrator salaries, those are included in, so I'm talking central office. That's included just as a lump as part of overall certified, right?
Yeah, in the 11011.
And then just remind me again, because where are we at in terms of negotiation cycles? Because I know we had a couple of negotiations that dragged on, and we had some other instances that involved us having to pay some legal fees above and beyond what we normally have. Where are we at in terms of, I don't remember where that line is and what our increase is.
So what do we decide? 'Cause we looked at
there's
that.
3.
There are 3, secretaries, administrators,
And
and
the custodians
the
again.
custodians
They would all
again.
fall under
And
this.
they're in the
Okay,
budget.
okay.
And that's why that line is funded.
Gotcha.
You have
Yes.
to negotiate, but I don't.
Lose track of the year, like, yeah. Right.
When does the, so who's up this year? Sorry.
See what I mean?
Administrators,
Okay,
or they're up next year, so you're
Okay.
gonna begin negotiation
2021.
in the summertime by
Okay.
statute.
all right.
Remember, for administrators and teachers, you begin in the fall or the late summer prior to their end of their contract. So their contract is ending, but you're gonna begin negotiations
Got it.
this year in this budget cycle. And then custodians again and secretaries again. All right?
Okay. you.
Because it is.
You lose track of the years. It's easy to do, you know?
I had a question on, and now I'm in the wrong place. Just a moment. There was a question regarding the overall budget increase. That could affect the amount of any grants that we receive. Can't be greater than 2.5% or
Right.
more.
So I asked the question, because the way I read that memo, it excludes special education costs. And you'll remember that last week, we made a point of saying that that is a larger a piece of our budget. Is it 15%? So I figured that we're not near the threshold. That was my assumption.
What's 15%?
Our special education.
Oh, the special education.
15.62.
And in terms of the, okay, so the total 22,205.
$1.279 million is the proposed budget for special education.
Oh, okay. $279.
Yeah, 1.279. Actually, it's 280 if you want it.
That's the increase or the total?
That's the proposed total.
Okay.
That's just services, that doesn't include salaries. When you add in the salaries, that's where you get to the 15.62%.
We don't break down special ed and regular ed salaries, I don't think, here. We could, but, and we don't even in our office.
No.
So as you read this section of the general statutes that puts a limit on the increase of,
Is ECS increase? Or is
it just says the amount of the grant payable to a municipality in any year in accordance with subsection D or F of statute shall be reduced if such municipality increases its general budget expenditures for such fiscal year above a cap equal to the amount of general budget expenditures authorized for the previous fiscal year by 2.5% or more, or the rate of inflation, whatever is greater. So I didn't have an opportunity to look at exactly how general budget expenditures is defined, but what you're saying is that would not include the special ed?
Based on what I read, yes.
Okay.
But that's why I asked for clarification. And Susan and I didn't touch base on that when we met yesterday.
Okay. Any other questions?
Will we get clarification on that?
Yeah.
I mean, is that, if I understand correctly, that exposes to loss of
I don't know.
EDC
Yeah.
funds that we would otherwise be qualified for, right?
Yep.
Which would be the whole budget. That,
You talking about the educational cost share?
Yeah, is that what you were just talking about, if our increase?
Yeah, but
That's
again, we'll seek clarification. In fact, I have a call to the special education office at the state, the funding office. So I will ask that question. I'll get back to you in writing. But given the level of our special education funding, I can't believe that when you back that out, that we would even come close to that.
Yeah, it's hard for me to follow just when someone's reading it to me, but I didn't really.
And there's other exclusions in addition to special ed. There's other exclusions from that 2.5% increase. So I just focused in on the special education, knowing that it is such a large piece.
Was this an issue 3 years ago when there was over a 2.5% increase?
No,
Is this
I've never. I have to be honest with you. I've never even heard of that.
Okay.
Well, the ECS is due to expire in 10 years. We are now in year 2 of the new phased-in formula, which began last year. So they changed the formula, and there's no equity in the way that it's based on a lot of different components like poverty level, total town budget. There's a lot of demographics. It's a complicated formula.
I think we're also, if I'm not wrong, scheduled to get additional ECS money in year 3.
We are.
If
I think it's year
correctly.
3. It is.
And I can ask Kevin that tomorrow as well, because I haven't got any documents about that yet.
Did you get the OPM memo that's referenced in the email?
I didn't.
Is this as
I'll have to look.
from the attached memo? If so, can you forward it to us?
Yeah. Yep.
The other thing I want to just call everybody's attention to, not to be some soothsayer of doom, but the teacher pension thing is still not resolved, and that's another kind of thing hanging over our heads. I just want some clarification in that it looks like our total grants potential income from the state and federal government is about $252 million, and our budget that we would expect to get from the town would be $21,053. Am I correct in that thinking? In other words, all the grants and things that we get from the state and the Fed and Medicaid, it's $1,251,523. If I deduct that from the total expenditures that we are requesting, it's $22,204,376. I come up with about $21,053, just rounding it up. That will be what we will be requesting from the town.
Are you taking it away from the requested budget, or you're adding it?
No,
Because those are additional.
It's additional,
it's additional.
yeah.
What page are you looking on there?
I'm just looking at the total
A3.
requested budget after cuts, and I'm looking at the total grants, so maybe that is my misunderstanding, but
You know, but we get that in addition.
in addition to
What we're requesting
what we're
from the
requesting.
town.
Okay,
That offsets
Okay.
our request for the town.
okay.
Oh, yeah, the grants.
Yep.
Because the grants are paid.
That's money we don't have to
That's
ask
money we
for.
don't have to ask for,
Right.
but, okay.
That's because the town passes it on to us. Those grants are paid to the town, they're not paid to the school.
Well,
No,
not
I
all
think
of them.
They all come from the school.
Some come to school, some come to town.
Okay. I think Essex Falls is the only one that goes to the town.
Yeah.
ECS is the only one
I
that goes
think
to the
ECS is the only one that goes to the town.
Oh, okay.
And of course, a big part of that is our open choice allocation,
Right, which is huge.
which is almost 600,000 of what you just quoted, 1.2 million. So it's
Right.
half of our grants come from our open choice, more than half actually, because there's 2 different grants. Or is that the total of both grants?
That
Oh,
was
no,
that.
you got 582.5, and then you also have 65.7, so it's actually more than
So
half.
technically, we're asking for 22 million. Okay, got it. All right, in addition, all right.
We are, but as we determined last week, our per pupil cost
Right.
factors that in.
Right.
Can I ask a clarifying question? Our hiring committee for our new superintendent position has not begun to discuss our number range yet. What are we estimating in here? Are we estimating it at your current salary level? How was that?
Stephanie, how did you do that?
That's the holy grail here. I brought it with me, just in case.
I think we answered this question.
Yeah.
I think
We
you
did.
kept it the same, but there was no increase at
Right.
all in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
No
you.
increase above what I received.
Okay.
Is that your current?
Yeah.
So hit the current salary now.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask a quick question about building and grounds? Or do we want to wait till the end?
No?
Are you ready?
Well, two quick things. First one is, I noticed in the comments here, it says, which I don't really understand, it says, which is shared with the town of Portland. Can you explain that relationship again, as far as costs and stuff like that?
What are you referring to?
On page 31, the program description, it says, it covers the grounds maintenance, which is shared with the town of Portland. And I think I know this, but I don't know.
Call three people that work for, or is it four?
We employ one for
Yep.
that. And then there is 3 full-time town staff and 1 half-time town staff.
It does all the maintenance in town.
Does all the maintenance to everything from the school properties, parks, town buildings, everything.
I mean, that sounds like a good deal, to be honest with you. The second thing is just an observation, obviously, with the Fund 8, where we have $739,000 of wishful thinking in there. What do we plan to do if we don't get that money, like for the boiler and stuff like that, that we're counting on?
Guess we will determine that when after we meet with Capital and the Board of Selectmen. I think we talked about how we've got several different funding mechanisms,
Yeah.
and based on priority of need, we would either cancel a project that we have slotted from Fund 11 so that we could fund something in Fund 8. And we're making those decisions, Dave, all the time.
I know.
And I have
I just
for
wanted
6
to say it
years.
out loud, so, because we always put a big number out there, we always end up with a much smaller number when the dust settles of what we can actually spend and do.
Yeah.
And Dr. O'Reilly did check to see when the proposal, our time to go and make a proposal to the Capital Committee is supposed to be, and it has not been scheduled yet. So I'm sure he'll let us know when
I'll
that
let you
is.
The security camera replacement item listed under the capital maintenance plan here triggered a thought for me about the grant application you had submitted a while ago, and I don't remember whether we heard back on that.
We've submitted it twice, and
Yeah.
twice it has been unfunded.
Okay,
They just don't have enough money in the
Okay.
state budget for funding all these requests.
right. So the replacement of these security cameras, was that related to the ones that you had, to the grant you had
Yes.
submitted, or is this a replacement of
We really
existing
need to
devices?
upgrade our cameras here at the high school, all around. But we also need night cameras for the outside entrances and parking areas. We'd like to have greater integrity in what we can see.
So that item here would accomplish all of that.
Yes.
Great.
Well, it would accomplish, no, I stand corrected. It would upgrade our ability to do, I think that funding was for outside camera, for our outside shots, not the inside, which really, all of it needs to be replaced at some point and enhanced. Our technology is older.
Okay.
So for the high school, middle school, you have 20,000, is that correct?
So those are the internal. 20,000 is the internal, that's the external.
Okay,
Where is that listed?
so that 20,000 is internal. Yeah, I
Okay,
know
where are
it's
the
small.
external, where's the external number listed that I'm missing?
Under Fund 8.
Oh, the 400,000?
Yeah, no.
Oh,
45.
okay, this right here.
That.
Lines are tiny.
Oh, track replacement, sorry, wrong line. Track replacement,
And we try to fit on one
okay.
single sheet, front and back.
This is the good part about having it on my computer, I can make it really big. So I can
mean-
see it.
Probably too late for this now, but I'm thinking out loud here, should we put together some kind of security package that we really feel is important, that we need to get our schools up to snuff? Maybe it's 300,000-400,000, whatever it is, with things that we go after that. Because we talk about it every year, but we don't seem to do anything.
Do you mean for grants, Dave, or do you mean?
Or both. I mean, if this,
Yeah.
I mean, everybody talks security all the time, and we don't really do anything, but yeah, if we're gonna spend some money, thinking it's important that we need to have some kind of special glass, like, or a film on the windows, or cameras, or entrances redone, or something like that nature. It's probably not a huge amount of money, but it's probably decent size. I think that's our job as a board. We should be pushing for those things to get those things done.
I also think that with the building study that we're going to do, we will find out what the feasibility is of doing that, enhancing any of the security in the buildings that we
true.
decide to maintain or refurbish.
Let's ask Carl. Do you remember if security was part of that list of things that the engineer would be doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
So there you go.
Everything basically from the roof to the basement.
All right. I haven't heard of any new security grants in this funding cycle.
But, Dave, I agree with your sentiment that, I think that's something we do need to, probably not right now, but we do need to take a bite out of that once we get the budget done and figure out,
Yeah.
How do we get there, and we really do, and see just how much we do get in assessment from that. I don't remember much in there about security, to tell you the truth, but.
Well, I think as a board, we could also decide how we want to approach capital. I mean, if we wanted.
Right.
If that wants to be if the board wants that to be the focus in terms of our pitch this year, or if, there's other stuff that we want to.
Besides this budget, you mean?
And I think the other thing that we need to
The capital
consider.
piece.
The capital piece, but I think we need to consider a strategic plan, because we don't really have that. We're, unfortunately, whether it's capital or it's, the school part of it, the curriculum and all the other parts, it's a kind of a moving thing, and we're taking pieces out and we're fixing it as we go.
Correct.
But you had mentioned have a more strategic plan. I think we have a good plan for the technology that Charles put together, which was really needed, rather
think
than
that, yeah,
eating piecemeal, because we're doing a lot of piecemeal stuff.
The building studies was going to help us a lot, because
And
we
it's
stand
gonna be
around and talk
tremendous.
about it, but
It is.
once we get a professional estimate, it's going
Yeah.
to kick off a lot of it. I was kind of more like, let's be honest, that's probably at least almost a year away from the time they complete
it
the
is.
study. And if we get, let's say we need $5 million, that's probably another couple years away before we got that. So is there something we can do in the next 1 to 3 years that we can,
We can easily isolate security right here and report that to the capital.
I would feel comfortable going to bat for that. And I hate to say this because, when I first got on here, the window project of the brownstone bothered me. And I took it as something I wanted to just get in their face on. I got in their face on it, and it seemed to happen. Now, maybe it wasn't just me, because everybody Philip was pushing everything, but that gave me great satisfaction, and I thought that was important. So I think because we can't afford everything, we need to find some things that we really feel are important and really push them hard. And I think that would be the next one, in my opinion.
I don't disagree. But that makes sense. I think that's a conversation maybe we can have.
Dave, I assume you're going to be part of that capital meeting.
Yes.
we can isolate those numbers so that we can, this is overwhelming when you see all the projects, but if we can break it down
Yeah, that would be
for
good.
some priorities, this is priority 1, priority 2, priority 3, we can do that.
And can I just refresh my memory about the debt service that we have on the high school, middle school building thing? How much time we have left and what is that?
24, is it?
I'm not able to tell you that right now. I don't recall.
Okay, or how much more
I
time?
think,
is-
I read something that, I don't know, I think it's 2024.
Okay, that sounds right. That's a long time,
Yeah, I don't know
okay.
for sure.
That would be, that would be helpful in knowing how we plan out any major renovations or big capital projects. Because we could bond it, but
Well, I think that's the idea with the whole study and the consultants that Carl found.
Right.
and we contracted, or are going to contract with, to look at the buildings from top to bottom. That's a good first step towards working towards that proposal in terms of any type of a bond.
Is paying for that study reflected in this budget?
It is.
Yeah, where is that?
Facilities, I think we talked about it
It's in there.
last. Yeah,
Yes.
it's in there.
He pointed out this
Yeah,
last time.
I asked him about that. So I think it was is it in purchase services?
Yeah,
Yeah,
3030.
I have a question, since we're on that page,
Which page?
about, that's page 34, right above security cameras is the auditorium sound system upgrade. And you explained, I guess, what's going on with the frequency changes and
This is a request from our music department for great sound system. Carl, do you want to talk a little bit about that? I know.
So there's an issue, and I'm not sure that it's coming up in 2021 maybe, that we could be having an event in the auditorium, and the wireless mics and stuff like that, somebody could be talking on their cell phone out in the lobby, and that whole thing could come over the system in the auditorium. That's why we need to move on that piece of it to get it upgraded. Can we just put a sign up on the door?
Don't talk.
Don't talk on your phone during
the other problem was that there's a
Sounds like it'd be a lot
dispatch,
less expensive.
the dispatch antenna's up here too, and Valley View was cutting into the dispatch wireless
that's a different.
communication.
That's a separate issue. Cell phone issue.
Yeah,
Thing, so the system has to be upgraded.
Any other questions?
Just so I understand it, I think what we're talking about is prioritizing all this stuff at some point in the near future and figuring out what we're gonna bring full court press to.
I think that should be an agenda item. I'm
For-
not saying that
yeah,
it'll
no-
be everything that you'll bring, but you'll be able to prioritize that.
Yeah,
The Building
but I
and
think that's
Grounds
the-
Subcommittee could
yeah.
do that
Yeah.
prior to the meeting and give it to you
And
and
bring
then,
it to the board as a
bring it
whole.
to-
Yeah, and bring it forward so we can all
yep,
have the same script.
yep,
Yeah,
sounds like a plan.
that's a good idea. And do you recall when that capital meeting happened to be last year? Was it like February or early March?
I want to say it's March.
March. Before the,
I think that's February.
You do?
February?
I do
Yeah,
because
'cause we
isn't,
gotta get that.
the first selectmen's budget due in March?
Yeah.
March 1st,
Yeah,
so they have to, I
Right.
don't mean to contradict that, but.
No, that's
I
fine.
think that whole piece of it has to be in there, so she knows what she's doing.
that's surprised that's not the schedule.
Well, I believe that we go there in February. Generally.
Could look on my phone and see what it was last year. So let me pull the Building and Grounds Committee together. After we approve the budget. And get these meetings out. in some of my vision meetings.
Can I ask a question back to the AP funding? I think when we talked about this last year, you reassured us that the majority of other districts, and it's not common practice for districts to cover the cost of AP funding. Is that accurate?
I think the high school principal talked about that. Do you recall, Charles?
I do remember the conversation.
Yeah.
I keep putting you on the spot.
What is common and what is not common.
Yeah.
Whether have to and have don't, but I remember Kate talking about that in the context of removing.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Okay. And so I appreciate that for our students who qualify for free and reduced lunches, that their the test costs for their exams will be covered by the state. Is there a concern, do you have a concern that by not paying for these exams that the number of students who enroll in AP classes will reduce, or that families will be reluctant to pay that cost on their own, or is that a non-issue?
No one has ever come to me with that problem.
Okay.
And I know Kate would.
Great. Thank you.
Because they've already done the cycle, correct? You can, I assume you can find out.
Or they will be this spring.
They'll take the test in spring.
Yeah.
No, but pay for it ahead of time.
Yeah, they
Right.
pay for it
Yes.
because we were having
Right.
fee meetings about the collection of it, and Kelly said it wasn't anything crazy.
Kate is going to do her high school report shortly. Some future meeting. That will be a tough.
Great.
I can talk to you about that.
Yeah, it'd just be nice to be reassured that it's not affecting students' ability to participate in the AP process.
Do you guys mind if I just kind of add something going off of that?
Not at all.
So
You might add, you may tell us what really happened.
Yeah, right.
So, I think if we are gonna have, like, if students have to pay for AP tests, then I don't think we should necessarily make them, like, required. Like, I know for some of my AP classes, like this year I'm in AP English, it's a required part of the course that you have to take the AP exam. But if we're putting the cost on the students, I don't think we should necessarily have that requirement, because it might be harder for people to pay for that. So maybe that's something we should, think about and consider, that it shouldn't be a required part of some classes if we have to put the cost on the students.
What is the approximate cost for one exam? Do you know? It's like
About
$200.
I was like 90.
Yeah.
Yeah.
95.
And so children could be taking 3, 4, 5 exams
A year.
a year.
Yeah.
And in fairness, it's a good point.
Very good point.
The taking the exam isn't required by the college board necessarily, but it is school expectation. So I think that would be something that Ms. Lawson would certainly.
Thank you.
So those AP classes, aren't those the ones that you get college credit for?
Yes.
Yes.
So you wouldn't get the college credit, you didn't take the exam?
Yes.
So you,
Yes, but so this year, the English class that I'm taking, it's through UConn. So I already get UConn credit as it is. If I were to do well enough on the exam and get like a 4 or 5, that would be additional credit. But if I'm already getting the UConn credit, and let's say maybe it's hard for my family to come up with that money, then it might not necessarily, we shouldn't necessarily make them take the exam. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Right, so
if
you're
we're already
thinking-
getting some credit, it might not be, they shouldn't have to take that exam.
I didn't realize it was a separate exam. So it's in addition to the exams that come with class.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Also, it's no guarantee that colleges accept
Yeah.
AP
Right,
credit.
no, yeah, there's no.
In fact,
Yeah.
it's becoming less so that they do.
I think Mark Matera reported that Yale didn't accept any of it.
Yeah,
They don't.
most competitive
Wesleyan
schools
didn't accept
don't.
any of mine.
I think I came in one class accepted.
Whereas the ECE program, you're getting UConn credit, which is already an accredited college, so
Right.
it's, I wouldn't say it's a guarantee, but it's certainly a better guarantee than AP.
And I do want to say also, so last year I was also there's AP language and then there's AP literature. So this year I'm in AP literature, last year I was in AP language. So I scored well enough on the AP exam that I get those English credits. But now that I'm in AP literature, I still have to take the exam. But if I do well enough on that, I can't get double the credits. So that's an extra cost that I had to pay because it's a required part of the course. But I won't be getting double the credits just for the AP exam because I did well enough last year, if that makes sense.
It's a total scam.
Why is it a requirement in our courses for students to take the AP exam?
Charles and I are both looking at one another.
I think we should talk. It's not a requirement of the College Board. It would be a requirement of the school. And I think that's something that we could talk to as well.
Yeah, sounds like a good discussion.
And did I hear you correctly, Olivia, that many colleges aren't even accepting the AP credits anymore?
Yes.
Yes, if we're looking at, if you're looking at like Yale, like I'm sure Mark did well enough to get those credits, but because it's Yale, they're not going to accept those. They're going to want you to retake the course through them.
Oh, Lord.
That was 20 years ago that was happening.
Yep.
And not even just Yale. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
certainly schools that would be less competitive that aren't too, so. I mean, I can see where that would put the school in a bit of a bind, because if I were the principal or if I were the English teacher teaching that, I would want students to take the exam because the course prepares them for the exam. On the other hand, as a parent, or a student, I can see why you wouldn't want to do that, particularly for a lot of our high-flying students that are taking multiple APs.
Is there any financial benefit to kids taking the exam to the school? No, we're not.
To our school?
Yeah, we're not generating any kind of income from taking.
I mean, AP does recognition, and I think we,
Some prestige.
If they take the exams, we get a certificate or something.
that's an intangible.
Right. And that's not related to accreditation, is that correct?
No,
Okay.
not directly.
It's another feather.
It's
Yeah.
a feather,
Yeah.
exactly, okay.
Good times.
Stephanie, do you have access to what we did spend previously on AP exams?
I could get that.
In those budget documents from last year. Well, no, she'd get it easier for you to do a search too in Dropbox.
Can students choose right now to not take it? Because they collected the fees in November, so I could do a comparison to see, compared to what they collected this year as to what was paid last year, to see if there's a huge difference of
Yeah.
participation.
We'll put together some
We
numbers
have
for
a
you.
IMP meeting with them next week
Okay.
about it. So I can get that.
I wouldn't mind a clarification on certified staffing changes. So we're adding a first grade teacher, we're adding back in the fifth grade position.
Technically, you're adding a kindergarten teacher too, remember?
We're adding a kindergarten teacher too.
Right.
Yeah, okay. All right. Is there anything else that's being subtracted or added or shifted?
ELL.
And that the 0.5 ELL, is there anything else
And the
added?
special education we mentioned. I think that's it.
Everything else is staying.
Was there a clinician being added also?
That's part of special education.
Yeah, I got that.
For the,
Okay.
I'm sorry, you're done.
I think so, yep.
When you look at the proposal on the day program, therapeutic day program, nice job on that, thank you, that was nice. When you look at the figures, and there's a counterbalance there between, what we either pay or may have to pay if a student will be outplaced, and then there's the costs associated with the estimate for creating the program, and there's a net reduction in spending as a result of that. Are those figures in that budget in some fashion? Is that reflected?
We didn't budget for the outplacements, if that's what you're asking. We budgeted for the staff in the proposed budget. We didn't budget for the higher alternative.
Right.
Is it? Except that, yeah, if they're out,
For the-
they're out.
Yeah, I was gonna say for the students who are already outplaced,
Yes.
because the other ones are prospective, but
Yes.
the ones that aren't, that are actually outplaced, were they to return, has that reduction been made, or is that money in there, so if they come back, there's gonna be a net, positive windfall? That's the right.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
We didn't take it out, and it is a good question. But as we continually say to you in special education, everything changes dramatically.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And because we have a number of kids that she didn't include that could come or go, but I think I understand your question.
Yeah, just, it is what it is, but if that program were to be implemented, and if the result were that those students came back, there would be a net savings.
There might be.
There might be.
Right.
If there weren't other
Everything else is
counterbalancing
doing everything else
expenses.
too,
Right.
right.
There's counterbalancing expenses, least restrict, we're obligated by
Sure.
least
Oh, yeah,
restrictive,
yeah.
and if we have to, provide additional services than we are doing this year when they come back.
Right.
That
Oh, yeah, no,
could
it
also
change.
touch paraprofessionals, yeah.
So I was looking at the preliminary budget timetable that you provided us at our first meeting, and it indicates that the submission of budget requests to the first selectwomen are due on January 17th. Does that include capital?
All budgets except the Board of Ed.
Except
Right,
the-
I know, but does it include capital? No. No? So that's submitted separately?
Oh, I just sent a text to
Oh.
Chairman. Normally they met in January.
Mm-hmm.
Last couple of years it's been February.
Ah, okay.
Because her selectwoman has to put her budget together in
And-
February,
right.
having that piece of it
Got it.
to give it to the public, I think by like March 1st. That's the
Submission, first selectwoman's budget to the Board of Selectmen, March 2nd, no later than March 2nd, public hearing, March 17th at the high school. And then the schedule for the budget workshops. Okay.
I
So
have
we'll
a
be getting
question, just, and maybe Charles can answer this, but, Gildersleeve Fund is obviously available. Are there things that are not in this budget that we would be wishing and hoping that writing a grant to the Gildersleeve Fund, would they fund that if they,
Yes,
there are some anticipated,
we've just written, I think at the next board meeting that Dr. Avery will share with you, that we've written a cybersecurity, that came with the audit that I mentioned to you.
Right.
Which I will share with you in confidence. I don't want to expose the whole building, but,
right?
This Gildersleeve grant would help us upgrade our cybersecurity.
Cybersecurity. All right, is that the only anticipated, grant, looking forward to 2021? Do we have anything on
For
the,
this year, we still,
No, go ahead.
yeah, I think we're waiting to find out how much would be available to us.
Okay.
If there's additional funds available, I have heard from a couple of teachers that they would like to bring forward additional ability.
And that's really what, I'm glad you said that, because that's what we want to use it for.
absolutely, yeah.
To embrace teachers who want to take new challenges on and who want to bring innovative ideas, and not to supplement what we can't fund in our
Exactly,
budget.
yeah.
So.
Well, that's
just
what I was
wanna
hoping,
remind
that
you
was,
about
I was hoping for that answer, that we would be funding things that are, teacher and student, driven.
But they are helping us this year because of the budget challenges of last year.
Yeah,
They used the rest of 2019 funds to support us in techs,
right.
and they're using 2020 budget money in part to fund some of our technology requests.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's right, pending their approval.
Cross your fingers.
Any other questions?
Just, I don't know, when you were talking before about the legislation and the increase in the budget and the impact that would have on our cost sharing. I'm not sure I really get the grasp of that whole, you're gonna look into that, you're gonna get information back to us.
Sure.
Because it does potentially expose us to some kind of a reduction.
Any other questions? Well, I think that may be an important piece of information that we need to discuss a little bit further before we actually put the budget to a vote. Does anybody feel the need to have another workshop on Thursday, or would you feel comfortable putting the vote over to our regular meeting on the 21st?
21st would be fine with me.
It's fine with me.
Same.
Would you like us to do it sooner?
No.
There you go.
I had a busy week.
Next Tuesday, so
It's, yeah,
all right.
it's not ending for me either.
So, we don't have to vote on canceling the 16th, do we? That's not regularly,
No, it is a regular posted meeting, so,
Okay,
so if you don't require it, we will cancel it.
okay. And the actual meeting on the 21st is a regular meeting, correct?
It is a regular, they're all actually changed now to be regular scheduled meetings.
Okay.
Oh, it
I
may
have
say
it in here.
special, but it is
I
a
probably
regular
won't.
meeting. It's a
Okay.
So
regular
do we need a
meeting.
motion to cancel the 16th?
No, good. You've reached consensus.
Okay.
You've directed me to cancel the meeting.
All right, then that's what we'll do, and
We're good.
we'll get some more info.
I was recording secretary, so anything that we
We'll
need
get
to
some more
done, so I can
information
make
out.
sure I have my-
I haven't. So we're gonna do some AP information for you.
Yeah.
We're going to have some clarification on the OPM memo that Susan referenced in an email sent to all of us. That is a piece.
It came to all of us?
Well,
I think it was.
oh, maybe it
You
wasn't.
and I.
I assumed.
Can we get that email too?
Yeah, I think she
Well,
asked me to.
yes,
Okay.
I didn't get the attachment, so
Oh.
I'd like to see the OPM memo
Yeah, yeah.
reference sent to
So
everybody.
this is just something that came up very recently.
Yes.
Friday night.
If I can get my little Wi-Fi hotspot working. Let's see if I can find it.
And I'll have Carl schedule us a capital meeting, and we'll deal with that security. Right.
Sound good?
Motion to adjourn?
Yep.
I motion that we adjourn.
Second?
All in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
10. Go home.
All right, so we got some more work to do.